Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, as COVID-19 restrictions continue to ease and more people now returning to pre-pandemic lifestyles, how do you start your 2023 right? And New Year's resolutions, are they still in or out? Dr. Gia Sison shares her thoughts on the program. And later, to save or to spend, a guide on managing your finances this new year. Financial expert and planner Antoinette Aquino tells us more in the program. With 2020 coming to a close, how can you start 2023 afresh? And with renewed hope, we talk about New Year's resolutions and entering 2023 with the right mindset. So let's go straight to the source of the story. Perfect mental health advocate and Dr. Gia Sison. Gia, welcome to the source. It's so good to see you again.
Me too. Thanks, Pinky. I miss you. And hello to everyone who's watching The Source.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. I miss you too. So this is the time where pretty much life has gotten back to some sense of normalcy since the pandemic. How should we face the year ahead?
For me, having learned from what the pandemic taught us, we have to have this mindset, Pinky, of having a flexible mindset, but a growth mindset at the same time. So I believe in that because anything can still happen. COVID is still here, but we learn to adjust and manage our expectations.
So that's the flexible side. What about the
Yes,
growth
that's the
side?
flexible side. The growth side is more of learning from the past. So if you have any baggages still left behind, it's about time that we start looking at it and start picking the lessons from it and start fresh this coming 2023.
Gia,
That's
how-
the growth mindset.
Doc Gia, how is that? If that baggage is still something that's hard to let go and you really carry it still to 2023, how do you deal with that?
I think it's more of you still carry it, but you try to move forward with it. It's not move on It's more of you move forward with it. And I think it's about time that we gradually face it as well. Because if we don't face it, it'll just keep on coming back.
Okay, I like what you said. I read something about moving forward is very different from moving on. Tell us the difference.
Yes. In moving on, for me, from a personal standpoint, it's like you forget about it. But when you move forward, it's of a different context because you're still aware of what happened, but you choose a life of things will. I'll move on with my life. I'll move forward, but I will learn lessons from what happened to me.
Yeah.
So that for me is moving forward and acknowledging progress. Progress is progress.
Yeah. No matter how small, progress is progress,
Yes.
diba? And it's also good that we acknowledge it, and those small things are considered success.
That's true. Kasi success, kasi for us, Pinky, sometimes dapat it's grande. No, I think it's about time we acknowledge small wins. Like, you wake up today, you took coffee, progress na yun.
Talaga.
Diba?
You wake up, you're able to get out of bed, diba? You're
Yes.
able to drink your
Yes.
coffee. You're well. Those are, that's not even small wins. Those are actually really big wins already. It's so nice because I saw your tweet. You were able to finally get together and celebrate
Yeah.
with your Makati Med Wellness group, right?
Yeah, that was so happy, Pinks.
Tell us more about that because it was what? So you didn't have that the past 2 years.
Yes, because we opened during the pandemic. And can you imagine, after 2 years, we finally saw each other with no mask. Kahit konti lang. And that for me is it's so liberating. And alam mo yung connection is strong. So again, there's nothing beats face-to-face gatherings pa rin. It's still there. But we have to be careful and responsible still. I think
Yeah.
that's one thing we have to learn after the pandemic.
You answered my next question. What are the lessons that we should learn from almost 3 years of the pandemic? One is what you said, that while there is some sense of normalcy, we have to still be careful. But over and
Yes.
above that, what should we learn, or even maybe personally for you, after almost 3 years of the pandemic?
Nako, for me, it's very personal. For me, your plans may not happen immediately or as planned, but it doesn't mean it's failed plan. So it's delayed, but again, I also learned the art of if it's for you, no matter what happens, it will happen. So that's my mindset this coming year. And I made a vow to myself that this coming 2023 will be about boundaries for me and cherish relationships that matter. So
Okay.
no to toxicity.
No to toxicity. Boundaries.
Alam mo
Okay.
yan.
Help us with that, because you're not the first person I heard say that we are setting boundaries right now, and that you want to have less talk. Obviously, we all want little to no toxicity, but that can't be helped. How do we do
Yeah.
that?
I think it's starting to name first your non-negotiables in life and your negotiables. So example, Sundays are for family. That for me is my non-negotiable. So whatever happens, I will say no to events and stick to Sunday with family. So something like that. And when you start acquiring that habit, it becomes easier for you for the bigger no's you have to face in life.
Baka naman sabihin you're not flexible at all.
Well, depends. Pero it's something like you make a vow with yourself. It's something like you make a commitment
Uh-uh.
to spend more time with people because the pandemic has really taught us that life is short. Sobrang nadala na ako doon. So, yun. That's an example of me setting my boundaries.
Yun yung mga non-negotiables mo. How do you take away toxicity in your life? Where does one start?
Oh, okay. Nako, dami yan. So, number one,
Mahaba-haba to.
you dami yan. So, number one, you have to be aware first of what triggers you. Kasi what triggers you to be angry, what triggers you to be negative about yourself, identify, and then you have to act on it. Because it's different when you identify and then wala. But this time, you identify what triggers you negatively and you start to, move out or, step back from it as much as you can so that naman you preserve at the end of your day your own peace of mind.
When some people talk about that, they say that when you do that, especially when you talk about other people, because sometimes other people can appear to be toxic in your life. Sabi mo nga, you have to find out what triggers you have. Sabi nila, baka naman sumobrang liit na nung yung circle of friends mo.
It's better than having a lot na hindi naman siya quality friends. Diba? So I'd rather have two friends who are really, help me grow. And when I'm with them, you feel like you feel so safe. So it actually the definition of friendship, it became mas deep sa akin after being away from them for 2 years. So I think that really has to change in one way or the other.
And would you say that you have adjusted back to normalcy?
Not yet. Not yet. I may have seen my friends, pero there's still this parang, okay, kailangan less than 2 hours lang tayo magsama, something like that. And you're still conscious of that, o baka mahawat, so next day mag-o-observe ka. So something like that, merong caution pa rin. So I think that's one thing that changed in our relationships after or with COVID still around. You become responsible also to yourself and to others. Like if I don't feel well, dati, I would
Yeah.
still go. But now, no na.
Yeah.
Di ba parang iniisip mo kasi, shucks, I might be the carrier, I might infect others. So it has changed.
Right. I guess in terms of health issues, your health condition, we're more sensitive and consensuous about that right now. Because dati, hindi ba kahit na may ubo ka, may sipon ka, papasok ka. Ngayon, magdadalawang isip ka because kahit yon, you don't want to pass that on to your
Yeah,
family or your colleagues.
that's true. Very true.
Okay, you have tips for us for 2023, and are New Year's resolutions still in or not? But we need to take a very short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, mental health expert Dr. Gia Sison. Doc Gia, do you believe in New Year's resolutions? And should we still have New Year's resolutions?
Well, for me, I don't term it resolutions anymore. It's like more of parang a commitment to myself. But of course, there are others who still believe, and that's fine. But resolutions kasi you have to commit to yourself that you will do it every day. And you don't have to wait till January 1 sets in. You can actually do that today na.
Okay.
And make it a habit.
All right. Balikan natin yung what you have on Twitter at T1. I guess would be tip 1, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yung tip 1 ba yung no, that's not the 2023 and beyond will be about boundaries. That's your basic theme. Your tip 1
Yes.
is what are you thankful for this past 2022? That's something that we should think about. And what do you suggest? Write it down so that we will always remember it.
Yes, write it down and then parang you don't have, write it down and stick it sa kunyari ref. That will kind of remind you kasi our brain is wired to remember things we see. So if you're really, lalo na sa mga people who are visual, so write down what's in one word lang, it doesn't have to be long, and then stick it like on the ref, basta where you go to often.
Yeah.
So that will kind of remind you and ground you back to what you're thankful for. And
Okay.
that in itself is beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost like having parang a visual board, no? Okay, tip
Yes.
2. Let's go to tip 2. Tip 2 is what are the things, circumstances that you will leave behind this 2022? Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay, the things that I will leave behind are the things that don't give me joy. So
Simple.
again, who suppress our growth or circumstances that don't contribute to your
Okay.
goals as a person. So
Okay.
I think it's about time we think of that because that's a form of self-care as well.
Right. And just as a last question, 2023, what should our mindset be? If I were to ask you, like, give me a sentence or a couple of words on the direction to take for 2023, what would that be?
For me, 2023 will be about growth and choices.
Growth and choices. Let's remember that.
Growth and choices.
All right, mental health advocate, Dr. Gia Sison, thank you so much for your time. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Pinky and everyone, and see you soon. Bye.
See you coming up. Budget tips for the new year. We'll have a financial expert later after the break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned.